Today on ELN Morning.
I kind of was just scared that everyone was gonna forget about me.
Abandoned abroad. As students return from winter term abroad programs, one reveals a lack of support.
Full experience for fraternities, from one hybrid recruitment season to one completely in person. We'll have the details ahead.
A leading legacy. The first black student to be elected SGA president and to serve as editor-in-chief of the Pendulum kicks off Black History Month.
Today, February 3rd, 2022.
This is ELN Morning.
Breaking this morning, evacuations extended into today for Winston-Salem residents within a 1-mile radius of the fertilizer plant fire.
The plant contains about 600 tons of the highly explosive chemical ammonium nitrate. The fire raged out of control Tuesday, leaving nearly 6,500 people in harm's way. We begin our coverage here. I'm Ashlyn DeLoughy.
And I'm Baylor Rodman. You're watching ELN Morning. Winston-Salem Fire Chief Trey Mayo said the fire could be the biggest the state has ever seen.
We are not out of the woods. The fire is behaving as we would like for it to behave to consume the product, but we cannot write off the chance that there's a collapse in the pile. It gets a fresh breath of air, and we have flaming combustion on the scale that we did.
Joining us now to weigh in on the latest conditions and reactions from the community is multimedia managing editor at the Old Gold and Black Wake Forest student-run news organization, Cooper Sullivan.
Cooper, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So at Wake Forest, yesterday they said no, they were going back in person even after, for the remainder of the week, going back to class, even after the fire chief said, that the evacuations were continuing. It seemed they did a 180. You're closed for the rest of the week. What can you tell us?
Correct. So around 1:04 p.m., minutes after Chief Mayo had just said that people in the 1-mile radius should not return to their homes last night, Wake Forest sent out an alert saying that classes would be resuming in person for Thursday, today, February 3rd. And then immediately after, students started a protest, a petition online, which formed 1,300 signatures within the first 36 minutes of it being published.
Wow. And
around 3,000 in the first hour and a half. For context, Wake Forest undergraduate population is about 5,400 students. And around 6:45, we got another email saying that classes would be canceled for the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday.
Talk to us a little bit more about the conditions on the ground right now. What does it look like? Is it hard to breathe?
Right. So it's raining right now. And while that's good for the fire, that means the smoke is closer to the ground. And so you can still smell it when you're walking outside, even through masks. Some people on North Campus are reporting that they can smell it inside their dorms. It's very hazy. It smells as if someone lit hair on fire.
Wow. That we've seen the photos and the videos from our own reporters and the ones that you sent in from your newsroom as well. It's absolutely just stunning. So the local schools and everything within the 1-mile radius, again, still closed for the rest of the week. The university says it's going to have major, significant effects on the academic calendar. Do you have any idea about what that means for students moving forward?
Right. So we have not had class since Monday, 4 weeks off of this week, and they have not told us when they want to be redoing those days later in the school year, but that will be closer determined in the future.
All right. Well, as the story continues to develop, we hope that you'll continue to update us. Cooper Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us for that insight. For continuous coverage, you can visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and check out the Old Gold and Black as well.
Yeah. As students are departing for their spring abroad programs, others are finally returning home from winter term travels. But it didn't come without struggle. One student says she experienced inconsistent communication when it was the most essential to her. Our Annemarie has the story.
It felt in the moment like no one had a plan. And in my head, I was like, we've been in a pandemic for 2 years now, at least. there should have already been a plan in place if this happened.
Senior Claire Greider was enjoying her final winter term studying abroad in Florence until she tested positive for COVID-19. With less than a week left in the program, she and other cohort members were rushed into quarantine housing.
I was very close to moving out of the apartment we were in because of just the condition that it was. It was really small and really dirty. I also knew the second that I moved out of the school's housing that the school would probably not reach out to me at all anymore.
Greider said she felt disconnected from her experience the minute she entered the hotel, and even though her professors were helpful, she and other students couldn't help but feel left behind. The lack of organization and communication from ELN and the program caused her more stress. GEC spokeswoman Shanna Van Beek wrote in an email to ELN saying safety and well-being were the first priorities for taking care of any student who tested positive. For programs affected by students delayed in returning, the GEC also emailed program updates to students and their emergency contacts, in addition to daily updates to all winter term programs.
I really felt like I was forgotten by the school, and I would say I hope that in the future, I hope that this spring term they really, with students testing positive, like Global takes the initiative to email maybe more, to reach out more.
Greider says she understands that the logistics of the program were being handled, but she and others would have appreciated more communication at a personal level. She says she was thankful to return in time for the spring semester. Jenna Mandarioli, ELN Morning.
The GEC is hosting support sessions for students who need help understanding the insurance claims process. The next session is February 9th. Students can register on the International Health Insurance page on the GEC website. That link can be found on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Looking ahead to the semester after hybrid Panhellenic recruitment, one freshman says it's still worth it to be in a sorority, even though events could be virtual.
I mean, the money doesn't matter to me. Like, even if we could only do virtual events, I still understand because of COVID, but I rushed to find a community and I found that, so it's worth it to me.
This year's Panhellenic Director of Recruitment, Jules Freeman, says she is hopeful sorority events will be held in person this spring.
I would be pretty confident in saying that new member events can be happening throughout the semester in person. Especially, I know a lot of the organizations do philanthropy events, and while they may look different from how they did in years past, I think there's definitely still a hope that those things can be in person.
While Panhellenic's hybrid recruitment is in the books, Interfraternity Council's recruitment process is on track to be held completely in person. Assistant Dean of Student Development Janice Bogman says there is always a possibility of shifting the process to be online, but because of the smaller number of students involved in this process, it is expected to remain in person. Bogman says around 200 students are set to participate, a number that is similar to last year. Beta Theta Pi recruitment chair and sophomore Sam Feinberg rushed this past fall in a fully in-person setting. He says that in-person recruitment allows for more genuine connections to be made between those rushing and the affiliated brothers.
In an in-person social setting, you get much more of an opportunity to show who you really are and to break out of your comfort zone, because it's easy to put on a face when you're on a Zoom call and you're just in front of a camera, but when you're in front of a bunch of people, talking to them, going back and forth between different guys that you've never met before, it's a completely different setting.
Registration for IFC recruitment has closed. Those registered can soon expect to be assigned to a recruitment counselor. The first day of the process is set to be Monday, February 14th.
The rain we had this morning is slowing down, and I'll tell you more about it later when ELN Morning returns.
Well, rain, go away, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I got so used to the snow down here that I really wasn't expecting the rain today this morning.
I wasn't at all. Well, listen, it's 10 minutes after the hour, and our Naomi Washington joins us live on Citroen Plaza with a look at the weather ahead.
Naomi, good morning to you. Is it still raining out there?
Good morning, Baylor and Ashlyn. It is not still raining right now. It has actually slowed down a lot. However, later in the day, it's going to go up to 66 degrees, which will be nice, but we'll see those clouds after the rain fully settles. Today, the high will be 66 degrees with a low of 48 degrees. And once this rain continues to trickle away, we'll kind of just be seeing cloudy skies for the rest of the day. Now for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Tomorrow we'll have light rain with a high of 65 and a low of 40. And Saturday and Sunday it'll be sunny with highs in the 40s and lows in the 20s. And Monday and Tuesday we'll have a high of 47 and a high of 53. Those temperatures will be low, and Groundhog said that we'll have 6 more weeks of winter, but I think we'll be pleased with the weather we have. Back to you guys in the studio.
Wow, yeah, 6 more weeks of winter, but with mid-60s. Doesn't feel
I know,
like it
it doesn't
at all.
feel like it.
Well, Naomi Washington with our Phoenix 5-Day. Thank you.
Student Government Association cabinet members held a meeting for students to express changes they'd like to be made to the student handbook Tuesday night, but not a single student showed up.
I want to give students as many opportunities to express their voice and their opinions as counts. So if no one chooses to utilize it, it doesn't mean that we're going to stop giving them that opportunity. That's not fair.
Student Body President Jack Corby says SGA is proposing a change to the attendance policy throughout the university. He says most likely by suggesting a Zoom option. Corby said students have previously expressed concern about the student conduct process.
Students are always wary of what's going to happen if they ever had to go to student conduct, what that process looks like, and then when you're actually living it, what different measures are in place that students can feel supported and protected.
Any changes to the handbook would need to be finalized by the summer to be implemented for the next academic year.
Coming up, hear from an alum who made history at Elon when ELN Morning returns in 60 seconds.
I'll be right back.
As Black History Month begins, we highlight a Black alum who made history twice on this campus. Brian Colson was the first Black editor-in-chief of the Pendulum and the first Black SGA president at Elon. The class of 1980 alum was the Black History Month kickoff speaker, but before his speech, our Naomi Washington talked to him about his best memories from Elon.
What are your best memories from being editor-in-chief of the Pendulum?
Probably my most challenging times. There were times when we were copy short. John Hurd was the photographer back then. He'd always fix me up because he'd get me a little picture to fill some space. Or I would write a quick article or get somebody to write a quick article to fill some space. But those were challenging times, but good times.
How did your experiences from being editor-in-chief and SGA president, how did that take you into your professional life?
What has helped the most is writing. When I wrote the columns that I had to write, writing columns as SGA president, because the SGA president we always allowed them a column, and as Pendulum editor I had a column, or I had to write something. So that writing in all of those editions, it got my confidence up.
What do you say to Black students who are entering this profession and students in general who are student journalists?
I tell any student, find something that you love and call it work, and put a little money in the plate at church.
Well, that's all the news we have for you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
For all the news you need to know when we're not in the air, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and be sure to follow Elon News Network.
We'll see you Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern when Elon Local News returns.
Have a great week, Elon.